Before beginning, like this kind of content, make sure you subscribe to the channel. Enjoy a video? Like it, share it, make sure that others can see it as well. Want to go further? Well, we have an independent foray into comic books that sends a specific message. We will not be stifled by gatekeepers. We just hit 2 milestones. I'm beyond excited with that. Thank everybody for doing this and helping out. If you haven't heard about it, well, stay tuned until the end of the video. I'll talk more about that then. So today I want to continue with a discussion we've been having for quite some time, and this is about the voice actor Vic Mignogna. It's not only about him, however, it's also about the company Funimation, and well, how Funimation, they can no longer stifle conversations that have been going on. They've erupted from behind the scenes, and they've basically become this full-scale issue that can't be controlled. Now, what's interesting is it has gone everywhere. I mean, if you go out and you look up articles, you can find Funimation leaks. You can find discussion. And this discussion, again, it's not this cultivated persona that Funimation wanted. Or rather, probably a Chris Sabat wanted. Instead, well, when you go out to places that had been stifling this conversation, you see what we're going to look at here. Now, this is Reddit. If you've not been to Reddit before, you know how a lot of places, they like to shut down conversation. Well, this is a place that definitely does so. In fact, they like to use this idea that there are rules out here. The rules here. Topics should be Funimation related, be respectful, spoilers must be appropriately tagged or marked, no spam or soliciting, no mentioning or linking to illegal sites, property report, website, app issues, no personal information, no duplicate posts, no posts with unavailable content. Now, a lot of that stuff, it had been utilized to shut down the discussion about the voice actor situation. Because again, all of these things, they're duplicate posts. They're not Funimation related. But then Funimation, they started trending #1. After that, you start seeing things like this. And I thought that this was pretty interesting. Full audio of Funimation leaks. Okay, someone be real with me. Is Funimation going to shut down after this or fire Christopher Sabat? When you find out why Funimation is trending, should I cancel my subscription? Why aren't we addressing the horrifying allegations against Christopher Sabat? Now, what's interesting about this is a lot of this here is actually about the leaks themselves. But this is actually about another thing. Now, we're talking about a rather long document here, too. I mean, you can see us flying through this to basically get to the top of it, but there's quite a few pages in an affidavit you and I will go through in another video from Chuck Huber. It was attached to a bombshell document, and it talked about Funimation, Chris Sabat. It talked about things behind the scenes. Let me be clear about something, too. When I discuss this, everyone deserves due process. You cannot take this situation and say this is the end-all be-all without, of course, extending that to other folks. So again, look at this stuff. Go out, see what you research. And I've heard some very, very salacious things to add to it. But again, still in the process of documentation and putting it all together. So when you go through this, you have Chuck Huber lay out who he is and everything else. Also how he knows all of these folks and how people like Chris Sabat, they actually did not like Vic, and they haven't liked Vic from the very beginning. They've talked about a lot of things, too. It gives you an idea of who and what that person is and what kind of a mentality or what kind of bully platform they bring to the company. Now, in this, there are other things that are brought up, not just these accusations that deal with Vic Mignogna, but rather this idea that there is a casting couch here, that if you want to be part of something, well then, you know what you got to give up. Also, Chris Sabat has quite a bit of power here. according to Chuck Huber. When he's talking about this, he even goes so far as to discuss a meeting that he had with the then CEO of Funimation and says the following. He said he was talking about Chris Sabat's gaslighting of Sean Schemmel, damaging use of his authority towards actors, and his attempt to destroy my career in early March 2019, who met with me and advised that Vic would lose and have to pay via something he'd learned about called anti-slap motion. He also, in response to my specific concerns about Chris Sabat, said that he had been friends with Chris for 17 years and he did not believe me. So, when talking about this, Hubert also discussed the fact that he's fearing for his safety. He's afraid here. And why wouldn't you be afraid? So let's take a little look at this. And again, remember, as we showcased at the top of this, you have official Funimation staff that involved themselves within all of that. You have moderators that deal with that, and normally when you have that kind of atmosphere, you try to cultivate a specific persona. But again, can't control it when your conversation gets to here. So looking at the question, why aren't we addressing the horrifying allegations against Chris Sabat? I think these people bring up a very, very interesting way of putting it. So, going to say it before the mods do, but please be kind and civil. I mean, no harm, but this concerns me. This is an affidavit from Chuck Huber, notably Android 17, testifying that he may have been propositioning X to the E to the X, oh man, or using it as leverage to determine who is cast and who isn't. This is Weinstein-level action, just in a smaller pond. Again, stopping right here to say due process. Salacious? Yes, but here is the big thing that comes with this. If the allegations against Vic are to be taken seriously, should these not be taken with a similar seriousness? If true, Sabat not only has done horrible things, but holds immense power in a company and has corrupted it horribly, why is no one upset and asking for answers? Yeah, when you're talking about this and it going out, it coming up and posting forums and so on, if you're talking about, again, taking accusations serious, like Sony said they did, then why aren't they doing that here? This is a proper question. I think it's an actually good question, and this is one that Funimation has not been able to stop from coming forward. Now, you look at this discussion, too. These kind of things you would think would get banned right off the bat, but yeah. Now, there's a question here asked. It's a little jumbled when it's asked there, but I like the answer in this. Vic is expected to sue Sabat in the second round of litigation, which seems very likely to be a thing from what Ty Beard infers, first round of litigation being used to refer to the Toy Real case. The first round is to get to the vocal groups who have made attacking Vic their core argument. Once Vic, or rather his lawyers, have established that there is an undeniable case of tortious interference, conspiracy, and defamation, he can move on to other parts of the legal battle. Number 2, Chuck Huber said Vic abused his position to seduce women, not to assault. That's akin to saying, I'm this big, successful man. How'd you like a night with me? Which in and of itself is disappointing. But let's be real, not that big of a deal beyond the implication he cheated on his ex-wife. Again, disappointing, but entirely separate from the situation. I actually agree with that point too. If we are looking at this as a moral quandary, we can talk about how disappointing it is. But if we're talking about it as a fireable offense, well, if we're going to pull that out and we're actually going to talk about Funimation, there is an established issue with Funimation employees, Funimation contracted people doing things at conventions. Yeah, I mean, you can look in again if they like the rumor mill there. I've heard some amazing stuff from the rumor mill. If they want to basically release all of that and to talk about those things, there would be no employee left standing. The only reason I don't bring things up like that, because that is not truth. You cannot substantiate, therefore. If it's public knowledge out there, well then, again, getting rid of everybody. But continuing on, this only shows half of what is actually shown. Edit, okay, it doesn't even show a fourth. Point 12 shows Sabat throwing anti-Christians' opinions. Vic, defamation by implying him as a homosexual by the way he dresses. Point 13 and 14 shows Sabat was already attempting to gaslight individuals into doubting Vic by claiming Vic was a P to the E to the D to the O without specific instances or proof. And you see the way that this goes on. Again, I will lay out all of this stuff to showcase how this comes together. Looking at points mentioned through this, however, we have some pretty interesting ones. I mean, when they're talking about points here, for example, my experience working at Funimation was unpleasant. It is well known that if one falls out of favor with certain people, including Chris Sabat, or if one tries to do anything to change work condition, that person will not be rehired as a voice actor. I feel threatened with not being used as a voice actor in subsequent projects if I complained about the work environment. So you can see how people say that they felt there. Again, talking about another point here as well. Here, when Dragon Ball Kai was first recorded in 2007, I heard rumors of actresses being recast Funimation for refusing specific types of advances. So you see this stuff. You see the accusation levied. You see what Funimation can no longer bury. There's a lot of conversation in this too. I mean, when you go through this, it's amazing to look at and not in what's being discussed, because these folks, honestly, they set up the parameters of this. They decided to burn someone they didn't like. Okay, well, when you do that, when you set up the rules for certain types of play, you yourself might actually be harmed by them. I wonder if these folks understand that too now. I mean, when we're going through it, again, you see not only one discussion, but you see other discussions. And again, those things, they can't be culled. There are people asking questions, and those questions, they're not ones that Funimation wants front and center. You have to wonder, too, what does Toei want? What would Sony want? What do all these people want? Anyway, tell me what you think about this, especially with this discussion carrying on to here. Because again, these are the same places that were stifling discussion just a couple of months ago. And now, now it's too late. So again, if you like this kind of content, make sure you're subbed to the channel. You're definitely welcome here. I appreciate you being here. Also, like videos you like. You know, if you like something, make sure you show it to other people. Get the word out. You know, not only just help the channel, but also get the word out about what's going on. Want to go further? Want to help us support our foray into independent comic books? Boom, it's right here. We have set 6 figures, which we're talking about the number 17 spot overall when it comes to comic books in Indiegogo. We can keep going further when we're in demand, but I thank you all for helping with this. We're talking about 2 comic books that are associated here, 1 message, good comics, and we can defy gatekeepers. That's something that matters. In this day and age, we get to set the ground rules. Let me know what you think about all of this madness too. I mean, when we're going through this, what do you think should happen with this? Should Funimation just ignore everything? Should Chris Sabat be looked into? When I'm hearing things about, say, a casting couch, should I take that the way that these folks have told me to take accusations about Vic Mignogna? Wondering about that. What do you think? Ending, I want to thank you for showing up and participating. You know, there's a lot of people out there that don't appreciate the folks that make endeavors possible. Don't want to be those people. So, thank you. I appreciate you. And we will be doing this again soon. Thank you.